somehow that you won't win, and that's why I'm here. Here we go. I sold my soul to the devil. Yeah, I begged to try to get you back, but I knew somehow that you won't win, and that's why I'm here. Here we go. And I want to tell you something you may want to hear, but I think I know how you.
After the second and final single-header race event of the season, this time that saw Phil Reed pick up his first AOR career win since switching from the Pro Mazdas many campaigns ago, the schedule calls for a return to the familiar and unique doubleheader format that the AOR has become known for. That's right, Apex Online Racing's Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship comes to Detroit's Belle Isle for round 8 of 12 on the race calendar. And with that said, a sincere hello and welcome from the Wolverine State to the Global Sim Racing Channel and its countdown to green, as cyberspace flows into your place over these 15 streamy award-worthy minutes. GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to fully appreciate the aforementioned doubleheader format that consists of an initial 40-minute feature followed by a 25-minute sprint. GSRC will be here to bring you all the action live as it happens that will immediately follow as we count down to green at Detroit's Belle Isle Park for the 8th round of the AOR Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship. And here to do all of that is yours truly, Bill Soups On, joined way up on the press box to bring you our words eye view by the hardest working man in sim race broadcasting, Joe Peak. In the director's chair is Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's armed with cameras located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by GSRC's camera guru, W. Beard. Now, Joe, after last round when the AOR was at one of the most historic tracks on the globe, that being the Nürburgring, which is dubbed the Green Hell, today the series visits a place with a little less history, a lot less green actually, but still one hell of a track.
Well, this track has a bit of an odd history, if we're honest. A lot like how Long Beach made the switch from Formula 1 to IndyCar, Detroit Street Race actually started downtown with the European open wheelers, only to switch over here to Belle Isle and pick up its American counterpart in the early 90s. And as far as green goes, well, there's green outside the walls. This is a true street circuit. Pretty much every one of its 14 turns have no runoff. It's just concrete walls, tire barriers, or if you're lucky, an escape road. But that's not the only thing that makes this place so tough. The thing you'll hear most drivers bring up about its 2.3 miles is the bumpy surface. Being from around this area of the US myself, I can tell you no track withstands the swings between seasons without getting roughed up. Even though it's taken a few breaks over the years, IndyCar still races here today, and now it's been joined by the likes of IMSA. But the Formula Renaults tend to be really tightly sprung like the IndyCars are, and likewise they'll require some incredible bravery to be fast. In fact, just to give you an idea of how harrowing it is, let's hop on board the GSRC lap guide. All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Renault, so let's do a lap around Detroit. You probably won't see a whole lot of passing down into turn 1 because this is a relatively fast set of S's. The important thing here is to watch the car over the hump on the exit, which can easily cause you to lose control. And yet there's a lot of pressure to get on the power early. The heavy braking into 3 makes it ideal for passing, but be careful not to overshoot it, because even though you've got the escape road, if you try to make the corner, there's very little space to the outside to save the car. After that, you've got a short burst of 4 where you can actually take it at a fairly fast clip. But then, as it switches into 5, it's the opposite, narrow, off-camber, and with a tightening exit. Then there's no time before 6, where a little rise at the entry tends to cause some frustrating understeer. Much like the exit of 2, powering off this corner can make or break your lap. You're going to try to straight line the little bends on the backstretch, and then it's important to line up your braking for 7. This is about the only other safe place to attempt to pass, but it's still incredibly difficult to pull off. It also leads into the fountain section, which, if you're smart, will be pretty much single file all the way through. You'll need to display some patience with the throttle as it leads up towards 11, since it's one of the slowest corners on the track and really needs you to get a nice wide entry. Careful on the throttle because the bumps at the exit will cost you some traction, and then prepare yourself for 12 and 13. The precision needed here is immense because you can't clip the inside curves, but you also have no space to swing wide because of the concrete walls right at the edge of the circuit. From there, you're home free on your way to the line since it's flat out through 14, but hopefully you've now finished a lap around Detroit.
And there's a lap around Belle Isle, and we'll be back with the rest of the countdown to green in just a minute. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of Round 8 of the AOR Formula Renault 2.0 Championship from Belle Isle. You know, let's take this opportunity to look at the points. The GSRC campus, on the campus, the stat boys Simon and Poindexter have been beside themselves with delight, feeling justified because their constant lecturing about the need to take drop races into account long before the end of the season, well, now this is a perfect example why, and they're happy about it when we look at the AOR point standings. Looking only at raw numbers, fans would think that Patrick Kessler, and we'll have those standings for you in just a minute, was in a comfortable position leading his SimRC teammate Rene Oosterkamp by 45 points. But the rules allow for each driver to drop his or her 3 worst events. So when that figure is taken into account, the names are swapped, and Oosterkamp, as you see here, leads Kessler by 24 points. Why such a big difference? Because Kessler has been forced to drop, get this, 90 season points, a 20-pointer, a 33-pointer, a 37-pointer, the last big one there indicated by the droplet by Kessler's name. Oosterkamp, in contrast, got to drop a 0, a 1, and a 3. That's why he is leading. But he has cashed in all of his drop insurance. A 4th bad result is going to hurt. After a big score at the ring, Phil Reed for Team AOR Orange moves up a spot, pushed SimRC Retro, Stefan Herman, down into 4th. Glenn Key was 3rd at the ring, earning 40 points. That's enough to move him back onto the overlay. Hey, how about we look at the team championships? And just like last round, drop races don't have that big of effect here on the team championships as it does on the driver's race. These are the results with each of the team drivers dropping their 3 worst events. The raw numbers and the drop race numbers show the top 5 teams matching perfectly in positions. Only the intervals are a little different, with SimRC ahead by only 118 points compared to 170. Positive Sim Racing Orange returns to the graphic with a bang. A 4th and a 5th at the ring by Alexei Sorokin and Lubomir Morris earned that team 67 points, pushing Team AOR Blue down into 5th. Okay, Joe, we are back for the familiar but a little more complicated doubleheader format. How's this going to work?
Well, as we've said before on our broadcast, we are in season 10. So they've been doing this for a while here in the AOR. Now, this is round 8 of 12. And you mentioned they have those 3 drop weeks that you can see there. That means their 3 worst results, 3 worst points of the season will not be counted towards their total. Now, the doubleheader that you see we have highlighted means that this first race is going to be a longer one, 40 minutes, and it will include at least 1 pit stop. The setups are open for all the races. That means the drivers will be able to tweak the cars to their liking. That'll be important today because of all the bumps that they're dealing with. But this season, there are no fast repairs out there. The drivers have no spare car. If they damage it, they've got to come in, get repairs, actually in the pits, and can't just hop into a fresh car and take back off. Now, let's see what this race itself here, this first round, deals with of the 2 rounds today in today's event. Like I said, 40 minutes. Now, the grid for this one is going to be sequential. That'll change in the second one. We'll get that to that eventually. So this is normal, what you're used to in most racing series, where the fastest in qualifying starts up front down to the slowest in the back. The single pit stop, they are required to at least take 2 tires during that stop. And they do have an incident cap, which means if they have a spin, run into a wall or another car, or have an off track, very few places where you can actually have an off track around here. The incident caps or incident points count up. If they hit 15, they are disqualified on the spot. They aren't even allowed to finish the lap. Points for a win, about 32 points, and 1 point for 20th place. Anywhere in between there, we'll show you a little bit later what those points worth. And then the way that the reason I may bring up the sequential grid for this one is you can see the finishing order of this one determines the starting order of the second race, because they regrid the top 20 inverted unless they are 2 laps down or more. So, Bill, everything to play for. Very important to just finish this race, I think, and survive these walls.
Joe, you grew up in the Midwest in Ohio. I guess Michigan qualifies at the Midwest, and sometimes summertime in August can be kind of ugly out there. Not the case today. Pretty good day for racing, huh?
Yeah, it's actually very good weather out there, although, I mean, not necessarily as much for the fans as it's in the 80s that we're looking at for the track temperature and for the air temperature. But honestly, this is pretty ideal for these drivers. I was even racing in better conditions than this, and it was still very tough. You can see 87 degrees on the track, and pretty much no wind out there, no humidity. So this is as good as you're going to ask for as far as trying to wheel these things around you. You really don't want to be slip sliding around along with dealing with these bumps, Bill.
Yeah, talk about bumps. This is a urologist's nightmare. This place is tough on the kidneys. You know, qualify just about done. What we're going to do here, there's just about 15 seconds left in qualifying with the standing start. We'll take a look here at Alex Sadler, and he's not going to be able to put in a qualifying time. So with that said, let's go to the GSRC starting grid, and it is Patrick Kessler. Well, your points leader, if you take raw points into account, he's going to be inside of Manuel Hoyer. Stefan Herman and Glenn Key make up row 2. Kessler's teammate Renee Osterkamp inside of Phil Reed coming off the win at the ring. Alex Sadler, the newcomer, is very fast. Look at him in the 7th position. 8th is Josh Ladd. Row 5 is filled up by Josh Thompson and Ali Hay. Joe?
11th is going to be David Boudelar, and he'll be flanked by Urkel Lindstrom. Urk and I were actually just talking on Twitter about some of the F1 silly season going on. Kevin Turner will be starting 13th, and Charlie Summers in P14. Sam Blackwood will start in 15th, next to Little Bird, Sarah Dove starting in 16th. Matteo Coppola, who is not a fan of this track, starts 17th. Marvin Sluman in 18th. Thomas Andriami Harasoa starts in 19th, and John Roberts in 20th. I'll just finish these out. Scott Newton, 21st. Evan Embray, 22nd. Daniel Morris, 23rd. And Alexei Sorokin, 24th. All 4 of those last drivers, Bill, did not take qualifying laps. They're going to take the risk of starting at the back.
Their goal maybe just get to the Dos Equis position there, the 20th spot, so they can get a good regrid for the sprint race, because it is a doubleheader. We've talked about it, and nothing is more fun than an AOR doubleheader event. Right now, we're looking at a 40-minute worm with a pit stop coming, and all of our attention goes on Patrick Kessler. He has been strong. He has been consistent, and he's looking to pick up a championship. Waiting for all the drivers to get out there. Looks like the 4th driver, Glenn Key, Now Glenn's going to come out there pretty soon, get that spot going, waiting for Glenn. A few more drivers to take the grid. They all want to make sure that GSRC commentators get their commentator bonus, and Mr. Key makes it to the grid, so we're about ready to go racing. 20 drivers put in qualifying times, 24 names on the entry list.
Just waiting on Dove and Reed at this point. I don't see them getting to the track yet. They're going to have to hustle here.
Hopefully everything's going to go okay. I can hear the engine start to harmonize. You've been here before. You know what to do. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn. And it is Patrick Kessler starting from the pole and leading the way. Hausman behind him. I'm sorry, Hoyer behind him. Herman, Key, and Osterkamp.
Very nice start up through the first two corners, but already we're seeing the top two battling for the lead. Bill down into 3.
They get us sorted out, but we have a new leader. Manuel Hoyer moves into the lead. Look at them battle back there. That is Glenn Key. He gets around the outside of Stefan Herman up into 3rd.
I think he made a slight bit of contact to the back of Patrick Kessler, though. He's got to worry about if he hurts any downforce on this car. You want all you can get around this track, Bill.
Now the field, now they move down to the long back straight.
Down Strand up towards 7. This is one of the few places that you can attempt an overtake, and Kessler knows it. He went defensive already on Key. He does not want to lose position. Bill, it is incredibly tough to pass here. Anything that you can get in these early laps will be critical.
Hoyer opening up a substantial lead now as the battle for second between Kessler and Key continues. You heard Joe talk about Little Bird, Sarah Dove late to the grid. I can report she is out there running at the back.
Which, again, might not be the worst thing in the world. This is a track where attrition can definitely help you. We've seen in some other series we covered here, Bill, drivers have gotten unexpected podiums just by running their race and not really puttering along, but, focusing more on keeping out of the walls than necessarily being fast.
Well, a tip of the hat to the driver so far. It has been crowded but clean. But if practice is any indication, look at them coming at you. Any occasion what we're going to have, we're going to see attrition for sure, as Key trying to find some way around Kessler.
And we've already got some takers as Key does make it, does not make it around Kessler. Actually, he tries to fend off Herman there. We've seen some takers for the pits, Bill. I think this might be a smart strategy for some of the drivers stuck in the mid-pack. Get away from the action, get by yourself, and be able to run some laps. You could overtake a number of guys.
One of those drivers that is a big name, Alexei Sorokin, came in now. Like Joe said, there is no pit window here, so he could have taken, as we ride on board with Stefan Herman, just a regular pit stop, get it out of the way, get out of traffic right now, and just run some hot laps. Boy, look at that roadkill cam. That really get an idea of the speed. And the bumps.
Oh, yeah, the bumps are incredible around here. They're hard enough in the IndyCar, but in this thing, it dances around so much more than that much more powerful, much heavier car. Oof. That was Glenn Key getting all kinds of loose through 12 and 13. Somehow holds off Herman still, but you got to be right on the edge around here, Bill.
Josh Ladd just slammed it in the wall. He was running in 8th position. He put it in the wall. That's too bad. He was going to have a good run. He has fallen way down. In fact, he's taken a tow.
Was this in 12 and 13 for Ladd? I'm taking a look myself. Yeah, it was in 12 and 13. I did that during practice, Bill. It's 12 and 13 sort of unassuming corners. They don't look too hard because they're just almost 90-degree bends. But they're so narrow in the fast line because you can't clip those inside curbs. They're going to send you flying. But you also have no room to go wide because there's no tires on the outside. It's just those concrete walls. You got to be on the razor's edge if you're going to make the most of those two.
Looking at Scott Newton in 14th position. He's up 7 spots. Oh, and right in front of him is a spin, and he gets it. He gets collected as Sam Blackwell started it. Oh. Newton got right into him, spun right in front of him. Scott had nowhere to go.
And I think Marvin Sluman got a piece of that. Matteo Coppola. This is why I think it's a good idea as we see the tail end of it there. This is out of turn 6. To pit early, Bill. You run the risk if you're running close with other cars. If they make a mistake, there's kind of no space to try and dodge and avoid people. So if you're right up on someone's gearbox, it actually might be the worst thing to do than just to give them space and wait for them to make a mistake.
Blackwell will spin right in front of Scott Newton. There you see Blackwell. Newton had nowhere to go.
Well, Newton almost started spinning himself. I don't know if that was in reaction. And Marvin Sluman seems to be pretty damaged because he had another spin just now. We don't need to go to it, but this is between 12 and 13. I think that car is ill handling after the contact he made.
Well, Joe, you talked about it. Let's talk about the driver in 19th position. That is Alexei Sorokin. Remember, he came in and took that early stop, got out of trouble. And I can also report that Scott Newton had another spin as well as he brought the car either out of pit lane or tried to limp it around, so a bad day for Scott. But there's Sorokin right there, running in 19th now.
And look at his last lap. 126.4. So let's take a glance at what some of the top runners are doing. Josh Thompson with a 27.6, Ali Hay 26.8. This is 6th and 7th. Summers a 27.1. So yeah, he's running faster times than guys that are in the top 10 right now. He's basically making ground on those people.
37 seconds behind the leader. That is Manuel Hoyer. That's beginning to run away with it right now, as is Patrick Kessler in second.
Up to our leader. He's coming around to finish another lap. Let's see what this one's going to be. Like you said, 24.8 on the last lap. He crosses the line. Next one, a 25 flat. So still faster than Alexei. And in fact, by a good amount. We've got some of our top runners with takers now. Josh Thompson is in, but here's the problem with doing it now. It's kind of an all or nothing strategy, Bill. You gotta pit on the first laps when you got all that clear track. He's gonna come out in the midst of a bunch of back markers, and he's gonna have to deal with them. So he'll actually be slower, even though he's only a couple laps later than Alexei.
And Thompson, we can give you an update. He does come out of the pits right now. Morris goes by. Thompson's going to slot into 17th. Look at this, right ahead of Sorokin.
So maybe you're going to prove me wrong here. He had a good stop. In fact, what was Sorokin's like? Oh, he was slower than Sorokin.
A little slower, about almost 3 seconds slower. But nevertheless, those guys now run 17th and 18th, and they're the bar. They're right behind Daniel Morris, who still needs to take his stop. Thompson qualified in 9th, and Sorokin in 16th position, or in 24th. So if you want to take that into account, Joe, the Russian driver's having a pretty good day.
Absolutely. And you see, Daniel Morris did not put up a fight. I think he was aware that these are drivers that have stopped. He knows that if he tries to hold them back, he runs the risk of them taking a wild move to get by him and taking them both out. So on the backstretch, when Josh had a run, he just pulled over and let him through. Probably going to see the same thing. Yeah, here he pulls over and lets Sorokin by. He's less concerned about what they're doing than what he's doing.
One of the advantages to racing in a private league where you see the same guys all the time, you get some of those passes made on reputation. So we're looking there at Josh Thompson in 16th. Let's go up to a second position, because Kessler, who was running away with it, that's not the case now. Glenn Key has begun to close in on him. And also in the mix, too, in what we call the popcorn position, Stefan Herman back there in 4th.
Now, if these guys start battling, don't forget Alex Sadler. He's about a second and a half back in 5th, but could certainly start to get closer to these guys if they hold each other up, fighting for position up there. And the way that they're close together right now, that's not too far-fetched. The real question is, who's the fastest of these? Is Kessler holding them up, or are they just holding on in the slipstream?
Boy, pull back the curtains here on GSRC. I turned my microphone up so I can hear any banging going on, and my gosh, I'm hearing nothing but clanging going on. Even though we're not showing it, there's a lot of guys glancing off the walls here.
I don't know if that's hitting the walls so much as the bumps, the underside of the car hitting, Bill. Because I'm not seeing people falling by the wayside here.
I hear it, but yes, I agree. As we're looking, not sure quite who we have on screen there.
This is still the battle for second, yeah.
There we go.
Still nothing happening, but I'm starting to think it is Kessler holding them up, because Sadler has now caught them. He's almost within a second of this battle. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 4-car train here soon.
Yeah, now Sadler's no slouch. He's new, but he's quick. But yeah, I almost wonder maybe Kessler might have had some type of issue, or maybe he's hurt the car a little bit, because he was running good times with Hoyer. Now he is definitely coming back, and look at this Glenn Key's coming at him. Remember, Key qualified in 4th. He was able to jump a position early, like to get one more on the track.
Yeah, and if he thinks he has anything for Manuel Hoyer, this is a nightmare scenario for Key, because Hoyer's already 4 seconds up the road, which is going to make it all the harder to gun him down. So Key's got to start thinking in his head, do I do something soon? Do I run off strategy and come and pit? Like, what do I do to get by him? Do I risk the car? It's a real toss-up. He's in a pickle.
And of course, this is a 40-minute race, so lap traffic should play a factor here, with lap times at only just under a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's not that long of a circuit. Really, most of the lap time, Bill, comes down to the fact that it's not a fast circuit. There's quite a few slow technical sections around here, so you don't have a lot of time where the car is at speed.
If those 3 drivers promise to settle down, what I'd like to do is give you the back half of your top 10. We look at Alistair Hay. We haven't talked much about him. He started in 10th. He's up 4 spots right now, racing in 6th. There he is. Now he's got about almost 2 seconds back to Charlie Summers. Summers up 7 spots.
I was going to say, Summers is moving, having qualified this thing in 14th. Hasn't taken a stop yet. We've had a couple of the front runners do so, and some of them taken out, we should say, with that incident we saw with Newton and a few other drivers. So he may have inherited a few of it, but even still, a position's a position around here.
Let's go back one more position. A little bit of a battle back here between Urka Lindstrom and David Woutelaar. This is a battle for 8th. We'll stay there. I can report nothing going on up front. It's still Kessler, Key, Herman, and Sadler, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5.
This is part of what's so tough around here. I mentioned turn 7, one of the few overtaking spots. You really, it's hard to make a pass there into those 2 right-handers into 12. Now that they're out of 13, you'd think, oh, turn 1, usually a place to pass because you've got a long stretch.
Right.
You're barely breaking into this thing, Bill. I was staying in 5th gear through this corner to tell you how fast you take these S's.
I think the action corner is corner 3, although I don't think Woutelaar's close enough to get a run down in here.
Yeah, this is the ideal space to try and make an overtake, but you gotta set yourself up out of what I call Corvette corner, out of 2 to get yourself a run.
Josh Thompson, I'm not sure how recent this is, has put it in the wall. Oh. Remember, he was the leader of the cars who have pitted. He's long in the pits. So he is no longer, that gives it over to Alexei Sorokin now as our benchmark.
All right, Alexei taking a bit of a gamble, but so far it seems to be working for him. So we look at Urka still.
We'll go back, talk about Kevin Turner. He's in 10th. He's a little bit ahead of Phil Reed. Boy, Reed well back in the order today.
Tell you what, I mentioned that attrition not long ago. I'm taking a look at our timing and scoring, Bill. Ladd, Roberts, Osterkamp, big name there. Morris, Thompson, all DNF'd already. And Scott Newton is still in the pit, so 18 cars left out of 24, and we still got 26 minutes left to go. We're not even halfway. If this keeps up, Bill, it's going to be a very small field still left running. Oh, and Key and Kessler. Keys, I think, got around him.
Finally done.
Into turn 3, Bill. He got a great run out of Corvette corner. Outbraked him. Here's the thing. Around the outside of turn 3 and 4. He did it brave.
We'll take a look at this one. And this is a track where you have to be brave to get something done. And this makes the point.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because you would think, you know, with the walls, you don't want to be elbows out around here. But either you have to rely on your opponent to giving you some space, or you got to be elbows out and get aggressive. And, well, I don't always count on my opponents to being polite, Bill.
Just to follow up on what happened to one of our threats for a championship, Rene Oosterkamp. It was on his lap 3. He put it in the wall, put the car on his lid. We talked about it in the countdown to green. He has no more room. He is out of drop insurance. This, you know, that means one of those low-scoring ones, like a 3-pointer or 4-pointer, is going to count. That's going to hurt.
You talk about it every season, Bill, and Oosterkamp is learning this lesson the hard way. Consistency wins you championships in this series. Right now, he doesn't have that. He is very fast, but he's been having some bad races lately, and that's going to make it hard to come back from.
So now that Key has got around Kessler, let's go ahead and give you an interval. It's 5 seconds between Hoyer and Key, and my goodness, you know what Hoyer and Key have in common? They are teammates. Another good score for that team.
It is looking very nice for them in the championship. But this is not over. You said that you don't think that traffic should be too much of a problem, but depending on how many cars wreck out, I disagree. It can be tough to let other cars by. Did Key just brush the wall there on screen? Take another look at this, Bill. This was in the fountain section.
Well, this is a good shot from above. Hopefully the foliage will stay out of the way.
Don't think there's too many trees in the fountain section. Let's zoom in on them, get a little closer. Hard to tell from that angle.
It was close. Well, you know what maybe we'll be able to tell is the interval, and it now is 5.1. So if he did hit the wall, it's not slowing him down.
Yeah, last lap 25 flat for Key, but and for Hoyer actually 25.4. Remember how I talked about earlier, Bill, that Key might be held up by Kessler? Well, he is getting away from him, and based on that last lap time, he seems to be faster than Hoyer. We could have a battle for the lead on our hands here soon. In fact, that was nearly half a second quicker.
So we look at that. I'd like to take you to 12th position. This is Alexei Sorokin, guys. We cannot forget about him. He just got around Evan Imre. He has now worked himself up to 12th. Remember, with Thompson having his issue, this is the guy who made that early stop. He's good to go from here. Not really much to look at as he got around Imre. Just want to say, you know what may be more interesting here as he starts to work his way up. The next one that he's going to have to deal with is a long way up. How about 11th position? Can we go up one position to Kevin Turner? He's quietly sitting in 11th. All by himself, actually. Nobody on the track.
Am I seeing correctly, though, that Phil Reed has taken a stop? Is he our highest pitter right now, then?
Okay, no.
Oh, he started from the pit lane.
Yep.
That's why we're getting that false read on that. So it's still Alexei Sorokin. Now, I'm starting to look at numbers, though, Bill, and I know it's dangerous to do math on here, but 50 seconds up to the leaders from Sorokin at the moment, up to Hoyer specifically. Now, it's about, we're seeing 30 seconds from cone to cone.
Yeah.
So...
when we checked in last time, all the little soldiers in Clip Support Army all marked it down. It was 37 seconds was the interval when he first came out. So he's dropped about 11.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's on Manuel Hoyer, who's really picking him up and putting him down right now.
Let's see. His last lap. Okay, he picked up his pace. He must have had a couple mistakes the last couple laps because the last one for Hoyer was a 25 flat. Key, slightly slower. They swapped positions. He was a 25.3, so he lost ground to Hoyer on that one.
Yeah, the big difference is we follow up just to put a finishing period on the Sorokin issue. He is now in traffic, and Hoyer is not. So that's what's going on there.
What he's finding is that even though he had clear space in the opening laps, he kind of had to bank on other cars taking stops before he caught them. So that's why he's a little bit slower than what we're seeing, or doing exactly what Marvin Sluman just did, where they pull over and let him through and don't hold him up. So it worked out early, but now it's starting to swing back the other way for Sorokin. So kind of a toss-up on if this is going to gain him stuff or not.
Looking at Glenn Key. Now, you know, the driver that is sneaky fast, this is Alex Sadler. We're just getting to know him because at least he's new here for GSRC to the series. He's beginning to run down Herman, but honestly, Joe, I'm not so sure if it isn't another case of Kessler being the cork in the bottle again, as these guys are closing in on him.
Yeah, but Herman hasn't been able to get up to him the way that he did, so I don't know that Kessler's holding him up necessarily. I think this is just that these three are relatively close on pace. If anything, only Sadler, I would say, maybe slightly faster because he did run them down from about a second and a half back. But he's not all over the top of Herman for now. So that tells me that either the wake is really giving a hard time to Sadler or he's just not quite, doesn't have enough of a delta over them to try and overtake them.
And of course, we have different agendas going on there with Osterkamp having his issues, even though that's Kessler's teammate. Kessler's got to be thinking, this is good news for me in the championship. I maybe don't need to win. I just need to keep bringing home these points.
Exactly, exactly. We always put such a high value on doing the double bill, but if you just get 2 thirds, you get 2 second places, a fifth and a third, things like that, the points start racking up.
Our hard charger right now, we talked a little bit about him, is Evan Imre. He's in 13th spot. Started in 22nd, is up 9.
But here's the disqualifier for you, Bill. He did not put a lap in quali.
That's right, and that under my rules that doesn't count. And actually, I took out of the mix there Alexei Sorokin, who even with that pit stop, again though he was way in the back, but he's up 12 spots
with his stop done. I still affirm that I think Alexei is looking at the top 10.
Yeah, again, Sorokin, another one of those drivers who did not qualify. Maybe intentionally, as we ride on board.
Yeah, heading down Strand Drive. This braking is not as difficult as I found in some other cars because this car is pretty solid in here. But the thing that I find tough about this entry to the fountain section, Bill, is just that you got to really be willing to get close to that outside wall.
We talked about the great performance that him and his teammate had last round at the Nürburgring here, where they went 4th and 5th. Sorokin all by himself today. Lubomir Morris not here.
Another taker, Erkel Lindstrom, comes in and pits. Now, he was in a battle, was it with Boudelard that we were looking at?
Right. Exactly. David's going to stay out in 9th.
Nice stop for Erka, 6.3. That's pretty ideal. That's one of the fastest stops we've seen today. In fact, tied with Sorokin. Comes out behind him, though. Sorokin's now up to 11th. Erka will continue in 12th.
And then there's Evan Imre that is, you see in the screen right there, trying to run him down.
Don't think Imre is going to get him. Looking at the lap times, yeah, Lindstrom much faster than Imre.
We're going to go look at Kessler and Herman. I can report, just because I want to do this, is because I practiced so hard on this, that Tommy Adriami Hirasoa had a spin, didn't hit anything.
And
everyone
Sadler
was able to
pits.
get around him. This is smart. This makes sense.
Ali Hay is also pitted. Where is Sorokin? Sadler is out well ahead of Sorokin. Ali Hay might be close. He's coming out to the pit exit. It's going to depend on how much momentum he has. Sorokin coming up to the S's. I think Ali's got him pretty safely.
Yep. Almost by 5 seconds on Sorokin. But what's interesting here, I like what Sadler did, because, Joe, we talked about it. Maybe out of those guys, Kessler, Herman, Sadler, maybe Sadler was the fastest, even though he was behind him. Right now, he's got clear track in front of him. He's got quite a ways before he gets up to Phil Reed, and Reed should have pretty good pace as well. The only reason Reed's back as far as he didn't put in a qualifying time. So right now, Alex can put in some hot laps and see if he can do, what's it called, the undercut? Is that what it is?
Yep, the undercut. That's exactly what he's going for, and he got a little lucky here.
Oh.
David Boudelaar was right behind him on exit.
And probably listening to the broadcast, Stefan Herman says, I don't want any of this undercut nonsense. Herman comes in.
Yeah, see, this is a smart driver right here. Always be paying attention to what your competitors are doing. Don't sit there if you don't have someone on the box at least, and just focus on your own race. And if someone else pits, say like, oh, forget about it. I got to worry about what I'm doing. Because if they get that undercut, because it is so difficult to pass, which we've seen for these three, it can mean that they can jump you, and then you'll have an even harder time either trying to catch them or just trying to get by. And it didn't work for Sadler because Herman out actually well ahead.
Yeah, picked up quite a bit, almost 2 seconds on Sadler. Sadler was much closer before the stop.
All right, Reed's got his stop now. Not doing too bad.
No, not at all.
He's out in the top 10.
Figuring that he started well at the back.
There we see Phil.
Looking at Phil. So of all the cars that have pitted, it's going to be Herman, Sadler. Charlie Summers has made his stop, and Ali Hay.
All right, so we haven't looked at the leaders in a while, Bill, and it was a little over 5 seconds before. He's got it down to 4 seconds, but it's 14 minutes left. At this rate, I don't think he's quite quick enough to run Hoyer down.
Yeah, remember, they are teammates. Both of those guys race for Positive Sim Racing Green. They sit second in the points. Remember that Sim RC had such a great start, dominating start from Osterkamp and Kessler. Little by little, these guys have been running them down and closing in on that one. Oh no, Alistair Hay. We can find this one. I think it just happened. He just got into it with Charlie Summers. They were racing in, what, about 6th and 7th. Those two guys get together. It starts with Hay getting in the wall first.
No, Summers.
No, it's Summers. Yeah.
12 and 13 bites another one. Anybody who watched the IndyCar races this year knows how quickly this can happen. Yeah, that was Summers that we saw just pound into the concrete. And poor Ali came around the corner, which is kind of blind, Bill. And he just didn't have enough time to try and get around him.
That's a car-to-car contact that wouldn't have happened on a purpose-built road course. That Summers would have just spun off into the grass, maybe got in the tires, but it wouldn't have bounced back in front of Hay. Here on this little concrete ribbon, nowhere for Hay to go.
So we check back in the leaders here.
Top three still need to pit. Hoyer, Key, and Kessler.
Yeah, Herman's got a big gap up to Kessler, but that is because of the pit stops, if anybody's looking at that and wondering why. But Herman is our highest pitter.
Kessler probably the only driver in jeopardy of losing spots.
Well, it worked out well for Herman. So let's see, what kind of lap times has Kessler been doing? Oh, that was a car hard into the wall out of Corvette.
Could it have been Sam Blackwell, perhaps? I believe so, yeah. Blackwood. Sam was having a good run. He was up in 13th spot.
I was, in my time doing laps, I was really trepidatious coming out of turn 2 here because there's a hump right there. And even though it's so critical to get on the power here, this is what happens if you're too greedy. The car just spun on him because it loses grip, or sometimes it just gets a bad bounce, Bill.
The good news for Tommy Adriana Harasoa is there was plenty of time to get around Blackwood. And this is when, you know what? There is that rule, Joe, of the top 20, but you cannot be more than 1 lap down. Look at the driver in 16th is Charlie Summers, but he's 2 laps down. Basically, if you're still out there racing, I think we only have 16 cars out on track.
Charlie is not in the sim anymore from what I'm seeing. Yeah, because he wrecked out in 12 and 13. We just saw that.
So, Marvin Sluman, welcome to Welcome to the pole position when we regrid.
Ooh, and Herman just set the fastest lap.
That's big.
Now, this isn't, Bill, this isn't really affected by tires that much. You don't really get much, especially since they usually only take 2.
Well, here's the interval. It's 24 seconds between Kessler and Herman. Patrick is going to be hard pressed to get in and out ahead of Herman.
Yeah, I think I was about to look at the laps between them. Kessler with 25.7, 25.5, 25.3, 25.1. Herman, 25.6, 24.8. Ooh, 24.8 from Herman. Well, yeah, that was his fastest lap, of course. We just saw that. If he can keep that up, he's going to jump him, but he's got to keep that up, and we've got our leader in.
That gives the lead to Glenn Key. And unless Manuel Hoyer does something totally crazy,
yeah, no,
he should be able to get in and out enough. He goes up on the tires because the rules say that you have to take 2. He gets that done.
Herman's only just now getting to 14.
Sarah Dove goes around in 12th ahead of him. Sarah has made her stop. Sarah's going to be a name to reckon with there when we go to the regrid. She's going to be up
she
front.
Always is. And she's gone from 16th to 12th with her stops done. Now, I see Evan Emre is yet to make his stop, if I'm reading it right. So she should get one from him. Maybe. Actually, she's well behind him on the track.
I think we're waiting for Roland Thunder, Evan Emre to come in, and
Key and Kessler.
Kessler. Key should be pretty uneventful. The guy that's got to be careful. Let's go!
No, Sarah.
That's all right. She's going to lose a lap, perhaps.
Yeah, but how much damage did she get? Because she clattered into the concrete.
So Hoyer gets around. She's still in 12th. She goes a lap down, but under the rules, as long as she's... Oh, no! Oh,
another hit into the wall. She's got to be damaged. If it wasn't for the first one, the second one definitely did it.
Kessler
she's just still going, though.
Yeah, she's going to try to limp it around. She just needs to try to finish no more than 1 lap down. Kessler's in. Now, the question is, where's Herman? There he is right there. He gets him.
Wow.
Stefan Herman does the undercut.
They came out right together. The gap about 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second as they come down to 3 here. He did everything he needed to do, Bill, and nothing more. He just eked by his teammate.
I can report that Sarah has looped it one more time. Why do we care? Because we'll see her again if she can stay 1 lap down. So, order has been restored. And it is indeed Hoyer, Key, Herman, Kessler, and Sadler, your top 5.
But Hoyer, in that round of stops, lost another 1.5 seconds to Key. He's now within 2.5 seconds. Too little, too late. See, this is why I said at the start, Bill, that Key trying to get by Kessler is just critical to his race. And I think that time that he lost behind him actually cost him the win here.
So we ride on board. I can report this. We talked about him all race. Alex Sorokin up to 6th. What a good run.
Fantastic run. Really makes me wonder. I would have liked to see what he could do in qualifying, just to see where his pace would have put him. Regardless, I mean, maybe it was a case, I think I saw someone say that they were not allowed to qualify. Yes, I'm seeing here, Sorokin had a qualifying ban. I'm guessing that was a penalty from a previous race. But I would have liked to see what kind of pace he could have had from qualifying.
Dove is in the pits. I don't think she's going to finish on the 1 lap down. So I think, my goodness, I think that makes our pole sitter, puts it all the way up to 12th. That would be Tommy Adriana Harasoa. Is he the last car running?
Marvin
think he is.
Sluman is. Sluman's running 13th.
Is out there. And he's only one lap down.
Yeah. He's looking at the pole here.
I had scratched him off. I saw him put it in the wall. I assumed he was done, but he's out there.
You know, I feel like I would say that Sarah needs to get some coaching from Prost about just trying to finish races. But with her being a Scot, maybe she needs to go talk to Jackie Stewart and get some advice on trying to just bring the car to the end.
Well, she's got her pace up. Now it's a matter of just getting consistent for her.
She's got everything except just holding onto the car. It'd be fantastic to see her be able to do something with this great pace that she's found.
Evan Imre lets the leaders go by. He is in 11th. There's another name to watch when we regrid. Boy, attrition has been the word here.
It's gobbled up a lot of good names. 13 cars left at the end. So we are one shy of only half the field remaining. This is, I mentioned old school F1 at the start of the broadcast, Bill, and this is looking like one of the old school F1 races.
This place is Bathurst without the long straightaways where you get to breathe. This is like up and down the hill every time. This is a tough place.
Some drivers revel in those challenges, though, and some don't. You get a few that find their strength in doing what I just said about taking the car to the end. And then some drivers tend to more like being able to really push the car to the limits and try and find where that edge is. And I think it's those type of drivers that don't enjoy this as much, because when you go up to the limits here, Bill, that's when you end your race.
We talked about some drivers not liking this track and even maybe thinking about getting a refund from iRacing. I'm all for refunds, but you get a refund if it doesn't work on your computer or if your car floats away or something. You don't get a refund because it's too hard.
What tracks are your car floating away on, Bill?
I don't know. Come on, we do the Lotus 49s. We all know there, yeah.
So we look at Sadler. This is a good race for Sadler. I think he could have had more in the bag, maybe if he tried just a little bit of a different strategy. Because clearly he's got something for guys like Kessler and Herman. Herman hasn't run away too much on Kessler, though he's got himself some breathing room. But Sadler, I think he's got more up his sleeve.
Well, I think you're right. I think if he would have done the Sorokin move and come in, he did. Sadler did come in early, but he didn't come as early as Sorokin, and he found himself in traffic right away. Because look at this, he's right there with Kessler now. Might make a shot here at getting that fourth position.
Well, let's stay on this, but Key seems to have stalled out a little bit. He's not gaining much more ground on Hoyer. I think Hoyer's responded.
2.4 right now, and with 2.5 minutes to go, I think it's going to be... If that does close up, it may be one of those picture shots, one of those photo finishes for Positive Sim Racing Green.
Now, I'll take a page from your book on trying to insert some drama. When we covered the Precision Racing League here, Bill, it came down to the final lap, and the driver that led nearly the whole way, Daniel Pinto, remember, he got in the wall right at turn 6 where Hoyer's going through right now, and that cost him the win. So, I mean, it's that Yogi Berra moment. It ain't over till it's over.
If there's ever a track that can steal victory from you, it's this place.
Think about guys like...
Go ahead.
Think about guys in the real world, too. Like in IndyCar, you've got Alexander Rossi. He was fighting for the win until he outbraked himself down into turn 3. So not even mistakes into the wall, but other things could cost you the win.
So there's our lead. Going through 12 and 13 now.
White flag going to be out.
And he just has one more time around to get that win. He's done it 27 times without a mistake, looking to do it the 28th time, and he'll pick up another win, more points for him.
Keys.
Interval,
Oh, wow. Key took a huge
1.6.
chunk.
Yeah.
Is Hoyer maybe slowing it up to try and get to the end? His pit stop was fine, so I don't think it's fuel.
Yeah, in this case, fuel really should never be an issue because they get to... Sometimes they do fill it a little bit light, and then they put in a little bit of fuel when they take tires. 1.8 right now. I just think it's a case of what they... Oh, boy, Hoyer really sliding it around a bit. What they say at the London subway. It's mind the gap.
He's only got so much room back to him, but like we say, limited to oof. Hoyer, it really is slipping and sliding.
Yes, he is. And it's
down
1.2.
1.2. Ooh. I mean, really, the only place to pass is right up here in a 12. So unless Hoyer sputters on fuel or something, it's going to be safe within his hands. Or if he hits the wall. Last opportunity for a mistake, and he's clean. This is Hoyer's bill.
Apex Online Racing's round number 8 Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship. The feature race win goes to Manuel Hoyer. Glenn Key, his teammate's going to get second. Herman, Kessler, and Sadler should be able to round out the podium, although Sadler taking a peek on Kessler. That's getting out of the way there. That's Herman. They're safe.
How about Sorokin? He's going to get a 6th place starting from dead last in the field.
Last car on the lead lap as they come around there. We're looking at Sorokin in 6th. Ultalar, Lindstrom, Turner. Kevin Turner going to be the last car on the lead lap. In the old rules, he would be put on pole, but this season, they let it go down. Drivers who are 1 lap down. That means we're going to see. How about this for a front row when we regrid? On the pole, Marvin Sluman. He's going to be inside of Tommy Adriama Hirasoa. 13 cars make it. Sarah Dove did not finish. So, Joe, not quite half the cars were gone, but almost half.
And just about.
All right, this is a doubleheader, and the best part of any doubleheader event, I say it every broadcast, is that break in between the first and second half. Right now, we have the perfect blend of the post-race high and the pre-race jitters. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back to run down the entire finishing order, maybe talk to a driver during the break, and then we'll get all of our ducks in a row for the sprint race that's going to follow shortly. Don't go far. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel's coverage of the Apex Online Racing's Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship. This is round 8 from Belle Isle. The feature race is in the books. Let's give you the rundown, and then we'll talk to some of the drivers. Manuel Hoyer, Glenn Key go 1-2. Stefan Herman, Patrick Kessler, and Alex Sadler round out your top 5. Back half of your top 10, Alexei Sorokin, great run, 24th to 6. After serving that penalty, Phil Reed, David Boutalar, Urka Lindstrom, and Kevin Turner, last car on the lead lap in 10th. Joe?
Evan Emre gets 11th after starting 22nd, but he didn't put a lap time in. Still, nice climb by him. Thomas Andriami Harasoa finishes in 12th. Our pole sitter, though, going to be Marvin Sluman. Finished 13th out there today. Sarah Dove was on a great run, and unfortunately is going to have to settle for 14th and start there on the grid instead of up at the front. Sam Blackwood will be P15 when all is said and done, and Charlie Summers 16th. Ali Hay, bad luck between him and Summers, finishes 17th. Matteo Coppola doesn't like this track. The track doesn't seem to like him. He finishes 18th. Josh Thompson in 19th. Daniel Morrison 20th, and the rest of the field all had big trouble there at the start of the race. Renee Osterkamp 21st, Scott Newton 22nd, Josh Ladd 23rd, and Sean Roberts 24th. Bill?
When your teammates and you finish 1-2, we bring them both in. So we're going to talk to both Manuel Hoyer and Glenn Key at the same time, racing for Positive Sim Racing, the green team. Let's start with the race winner. Manuel, other than losing the lead during the pit stop to your teammate, pretty smooth race for you.
Yeah, it was so intense. After I overtook Patrick on turn 3, and I was able to go away from him. It was incredible. I don't know how I get this speed, and I'm so happy that Glenn overtook him as well. And yeah, this track is so hard, really, and I'm happy that the feature race is over now.
Glenn,
I didn't quite get that.
All right, sorry about that. Seems we've got some trouble with Bill's mic. Glenn, we had our theories up in the booth, but I want to hear your thoughts. Do you feel at the start of the race, if you weren't behind Kessler, that you could have taken the win from Manuel?
First of all, big congrats to Manuel for the race win. We did everything right, just as planned, and we've gone through this maybe 50 or 100 times through the last week about the scenarios coming up. And yeah, we had an amazing start. Both me and Manuel managed to pass both Patrick and Stefan on the outside into T3, which was a deal breaker, I feel. But I was then stuck behind Patrick for a while. So to answer your question, it's we'll never know. I think Manuel did a great job today on the future, and it's well deserved.
Going back to Manuel, then Glenn was running you down at the end, especially on the last lap, gained quite a bit. Was that just you managing the race up to the end, not risking the car?
At first, thanks for your words, Glenn. It makes me very happy. And yeah, I had a little issue in the second last lap. I hit the wall and my steering wheel was the wrong way. And so it was very difficult the last lap to hold the car on track. But he was fast, Glenn. I know. So he also catched up the laps before. So yeah, maybe he would be able one more lap that he win this race, and he also would deserve it. And I think it's a big day for our team, and we just happy to be there in front.
Yeah, big points day for your team. One last question. We'll go back to Glenn to finish things out. You mentioned those outside passes, and yours actually took 2 corners through 3 and 4. That was impressive stuff. Have you ever made a pass around the outside of there? Because it's so hard to pull it off on the inside, where I'm baffled as to how you managed to do it the long way around.
Well, to say it like this, it's not something I recommend doing if you're new to racing, but it was planned out a couple laps before. I was managing and analyzing where Patrick was slower than me and where he was faster, and I could see that he was struggling a little bit in the corners. I'm not quite sure if that was because he had some issues, but I could see that into T3, 4, and 5 that he was struggling a bit. So once you're on the outside or inside, it's well, I made him choose, so he chose the inside. So I gave him the run for the money, and it's worked out.
Yeah, you guys did incredible stuff. A thinking driver and a fast driver. But congratulations to both you, first and second, respectively. We hope to see you do just as well in the sprint race in a few moments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bill?
And with that, what we're going to do is take a short break, and we'll get all of our ducks in a row for the sprint race that's going to come up. Don't go far. you don't know who you're watching, we are the Global Sim Racing channel, and this is our coverage of the Apex Online Racing Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship. We just had the feature race in the books, a 40-minuter, which was really exciting, where it was Manuel Hoyer and Glenn Key. The two teammates went 1-2. Now we get to the sprint race, and here to tell us how that works is my partner, Joe Peak.
Indeed, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but just in case you're just coming in, this one only 25 minutes long. Last race was 40 minutes, so just a little over half of what we just did. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. If you think 25 minutes is hectic, they are inverting the top 20. Typically, in our case, inverting the top 13 because all cars beyond the 13th position finished more than 2 laps down. No pit stops on this one. It is straight to the end. And the incident cap just a little bit lower. Now, we don't expect anybody to really find that incident cap around this track because it's very hard to rack up incidents without getting serious damage. Difference, though, in points on this one. You only get 20 as opposed to 32 on that full race. And they don't go down as far as well. So we've seen it. Anybody who's watched one of these races knows, Bill, that it is craziness in these races. But anybody who hasn't, I think, is in for a treat, especially at a track like this.
Well, I talk about it all the time about because of the inverted start, how the slower cars are up front, the field doesn't stretch out as much. Now you couple that with putting that between 2 concrete walls, and my goodness, this is going to be a rough one. If there's any good news for the drivers, like Key and Herman, who have to go from the back to the front, well, they don't have to go from the back to the front this time. With only 13 cars eligible for the re-grid, they're not in that bad a shape, Joe. They'll be starting, what, the 12th and 13th? That's not all that far back.
Yeah, it's slightly easier, but really the big danger here is something that we typically talk about on places like Bathurst, where the track can clog. And I don't think they do red flags in this series. So it's a real danger if you're starting anywhere, I'd say, but well, honestly, it's still even a danger if you're on the pole because you're going to get swamped by faster cars. So no matter where you are on this track, I guess is the end point on this one. You got to have your wits about you.
If the track does clog, I guess you just got to wait, plow your way through, however that works. Another good opportunity for drivers like, well, you're looking at him, René Oosterkamp. He is in the championship hunt, but things continue to go south on the German driver. He'll be starting, well, actually, if he had such a bad, he'll be way far down the list.
And that makes the day even worse because not only is he not going to get points in that first race, he's got a good chance of not getting points this second race unless he tiptoes around the first part of this race.
Honestly, I think I could get my 95-year-old mother-in-law, Mama Jean, out there right now, and in this event, have her at the back and just stay out of trouble. I think he could probably end up in the points here. I think attrition is going to be just as big, if not bigger, than it was in the feature race.
Just please turn down the force feedback for her, Bill. Just do us a favor.
Oh, man. She gets a bruise from a heavy wind.
Just some drivers out warming up at the moment. Really not a whole lot of need for that out here, Bill, because we keep the same weather conditions from session to session. So they're not going to be throwing any surprises. There you can see the same as we saw before. So really, at this point, if you're at all worn out, if you need a bit of a break, you can take some time to just kind of relax here at the start unless you really feel like you want some more practice laps to get into the swing.
Yeah, just to drill down a little deeper on the point you made, it's actually the same weather that they use in the practice session that they set up the night before. So they are familiar. At least they're not surprised when they get here. And I think that's really a good idea as far as making for good racing because people come in more prepared. And even though the unknown is always exciting, sometimes it doesn't necessarily lead to, well, a race that you want to watch.
Yeah. Well, what would honestly be ideal if they were going for realism is if they could have pretty much close to the same as that's Emre having a little bit of an off in the fountain section there. Close to the first race, but not drastically different. Unless maybe, I guess, if you're in the Midwest somewhere in spring or fall. 'Cause, which I guess that, this could be, this is the Midwest, but it would be pretty much the same that you would see.
Well, just to go a little more on that, it might be fun. Just, it's not our job to come up with rules, but if they wanted to do the feature race in the afternoon and the sprint race in the late afternoon, that almost makes sense.
Yeah, I'll reveal my nerdiness a bit here, but they need to get out a D20 or something and just give a little bit of chance into it. How much temperature? 20 degrees or 1 degree? Does it change?
Well, I'm going to get an opportunity to say this guy's name because he's going to be on the front row. That's Thomas Adriama Hirasoa.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that 74 is going to do. Didn't have a whole lot of pace. We haven't really seen any crazy good results from Thomas so far, but he's going to be in a good position to try and get some today.
And I can't read my handwriting, but I think it was it Marvin Sluman we decided was going to be on the pole? On the pole. Yep. He's yet to put in a practice lap. As our director starts singing a little Marvin Gaye in the background there. That's really not necessary.
Especially not coming from Sean.
No,
Jesus.
no. There's Tommy.
All right. Here we go, Bill.
Boy, very few drivers were able to put in practice runs. I hope they're ready to go. On the front row, it's Marvin Sluman. He's going to be inside of Tommy Adrama Hirasoa, Evan Emre, and Kevin Turner make up row 2. Erga Lindstrom and David Butelar behind them. Row 4, watch out for him, Phil Reed. He could get there. Alexis Stroikin in the 8th position. 9th and 10th, Alex Sadler and Patrick Kessler. Joe.
So we move back to row 6. We've got Stefan Herman in 11th, Glenn Key in 12th. Manuel Hoyer starts P13, then Sarah Dove in 14th, just behind all the drivers that were regrid. Sam Blackwood 15th, and Charlie Summers starts in 16th. Ali Hay will begin in 17th, and row 9 is flanked by Matteo Coppola. Josh Thompson starts 19th, and Daniel Morris 20th. Bill?
And then the last drivers, Renee Osterkamp, Scott Newton, and Josh Ladd. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. It didn't take long to get to the big names back there. They start in 6th position. Gather at the chicken steak, covering on the cows. The horses are out of the barn. And I'll tell you, one guy that got a shot out of the barn, that pony is going. It's Evan Emre. He's up to 2nd.
Oh, and I think Alex Sadler, who you just saw in the background, made a mistake out of Corvette corner, but I think he had a jump start. I'd have to go back and check it, but I swear I saw a car get off the line before the green came out.
Phil Reed, another big mover, gets around Tommy Hirasoa. He is up to 3rd. Tommy back there racing in 4th. He's got some big names behind him. Butelar, Turner, but then comes Sorokin.
Kinds of side-by-side action. Down in the mid-pack as cars try to sort themselves out. In fact, some of them 3 wide into turn 6, and they somehow managed to get it through it. That was Coppola, Sadler, and Osterkamp who managed that.
Phil Reed gets around. Evan Emre moves up into 2nd, and now he has his sights set on Marvin Sluman. It won't be long till the former champion gets there. In fact, here comes Reed right now. He has a great run. He's going to gobble him up. There's no need to hurry, Phil. Phil gets the car really loose, and now he's going to wait.
I was going to say, you really don't need to try and pass in the fountain section. That's way too risky. He's got time because behind him, Emre is dropping off. He's not under threat here. Just bide your time, wait for the good opportunity. You know you're faster than Sluman.
The first big name back there is Sorokin. He's in 7th. Right now, he's stuck behind Kevin Turner. Now you can see the pass for the lead.
Down into 1. Not often you see that, but it is possible. So, all right, we've got Reed all on his own. What can he do now that he's free?
Oh, Adrama Hirasoa gets turned around.
Oh, no, it's out of Corvette, and it is absolute chaos, Bill. How did this get started?
Adrama Hirasoa was a little bit loose. Oh, and it keeps getting worse. Getting into him was Kevin Turner. And then once the cars got turned, then it was Katie bar the door. They kept it coming. There you see Hirasoa slow, and that's Turner now. Just stay on this. Bang, boom, bang, slash, pump, pow, slam, smoosh, crash.
That is, wow. This is Detroit, not Chicago. That was more like the Blues Brothers.
It definitely looks like that.
You're gonna watch
gonna
from
ride with
Keith's point of
Keith.
view.
Does Key get into this? We think so.
I don't think there was anybody back there who didn't get into
boom.
it. It was real. There was almost no place to go in that. It was. You'd have to have creeped through there at about 3 miles an hour.
Well, that's the story of the race right now. Phil Reed is out in front, and then there was that.
I tell you what, winner of the day might wind up being Alexei Sorokin. He's sitting in third right now. Just made a great overtake on Emre.
Gridded just far enough ahead to be out of that one.
Emre's going to try and come back at him down into 3. We've seen drivers go around the outside. Emre's way too far back, though.
Take a look at the Russian driver going around the outside. I think we need to see a little bit something clean after what we just saw. This is kind of
real
cleansing the palate. Oh, we missed that one. Now our timing and scoring is going to be a little bit off there as so many drivers took toes, but our leader is Phil Reed. He's out in front by 3.2 seconds. Sluman, who started on the pole, doing a good job hanging in there in second. And Joe, because of the attrition, there's not as many guys coming. One guy who is coming is Alexei Sorokin.
And here's the interesting thing. Some of those drivers did not take pits because they just figured, okay, everybody else got damage. I'm going to keep cruising. Because, I mean, if the car is going straight enough, you might as well try and take it home because you could get as far as the top 10. Sarah Dove, who was in the thick of it, is still out there, has not pitted, and she's 11th.
Well, she got a lot of practice racing a damaged car in the feature race. She's probably pretty good at it now. Big names that are still racing. Stefan Herman in 7th. And I believe Hoyer is still out there. Yes,
Hoyer's
Manuel
in
Hoyer in 6th.
Remember, he started this thing in 13th. Well, I thought it was going to be the first lap that was going to cause a track blockage, but that was what, lap 3 that we saw that on?
It was a good one, too. 20 minutes to go. A lot of drivers 1 lap down that they're still trying to. Kessler is done.
Got 12 cars
Osterkamp
on
is done.
track. Hey, credit where credit is due. The 41 of Sluman started this thing on pole. I'm pretty sure second place is going to go away from him here because Sorokin has run him down. But, I mean, other than losing the lead, Sluman's just kind of running around, making laps and not worrying himself.
And this is a driver, boy, that we have been watching the whole day here. Alexei Sorokin, he had that penalty where he had to start from the back of the feature grid, worked his way through, did that early pit stop. And, might have just put it in the wall there.
It was awful close on screen.
Yeah, I think the director and I both heard it. Maybe not enough to damage the car, and he makes the pass, and he's up into second.
Alexei, you're going to have to tell us what Russian is for lemonade because you're making some today, buddy.
Boy, he's having a hard time holding on to it, though.
So let's try to come back. I don't think Sluman's going to have this, though. Yeah, Alexei easily outbreaks him into that corner. Next, behind Marvin, I don't think he's going to be able to keep a podium even because Boudelar, the 07, is within just about 1.3 seconds.
Josh Ladd just had an issue. He was done. He was in 13th and on the lead lap. No need to go there.
The last car running right now is the 777 of Daniel Morrison. He sits in 12th.
I told you Mama Jean could have got out there and scored some points.
And Emre seems to be falling backwards further. He was just overtaken by Hoyer. Hoyer now up to the top 5.
Well, Hoyer, of course, the winner of the feature race, so getting passed by him, not really that big. Here comes Herman as well. We'll look at this pass.
I wonder if Emre kind of facilitated this a little bit here. He doesn't go defensive into 7. Yeah, he lets him have the inside and worries about his own thing.
And this might happen again when we come back live. We'll see the pass right now. And sure enough, that is Stefan Herman going underneath as soon as we get the GSRC. There we go.
So Emery
Stefan
down to
Herman
7th.
And Herman up to 6th.
Oof. I'm seeing some blinking on our leader, Phil Reed. Not good news for him. Hopefully that settles out. He does have about 7 seconds over Sorokin for the moment. What do the laps look like?
We're kind of scared to go there because he's blinking so much.
I think his yeah, it looks like it's solidified.
Yeah, settling down for me now, too. We talked about it in the countdown to green. Phil Reed picked up his first career win in these Formula Renaults. Of course, he raced for many seasons when they raced the Pro Mazda car. Reed picks up, I believe that's his first feature race win. I believe he has sprint race wins, but those aren't quite as prestigious as winning a feature race.
Yeah, a little bit harder to do those.
Yeah.
Now, I'm taking a glance at the lap times. It's a bit hard to read because, remember, Sorokin has been making some overtakes, but 26.5 last time. This one was a clear lap for him, so let's see as he comes across Alexei 25.4. And Phil Reed's last one is a 25.5. So 7 seconds back, a 10th faster. He's going to have to pick it up if he wants to take the win, the Russian.
So we look there at Sorokin. Our director was on a good battle. This is Sluman and Bultalar. Bultalar's coming up on him. In fact, here he comes making the move to the inside. Nope. Yes. Nope.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
he is.
Nope. Yes.
Lumen's coming back at him. Turn 4. Very little braking for this corner. Boudelaar is going to give up the ghost, and that is going to put him in the clutches of last race's winner. Hoyer is here now.
Boy, Hoyer showed up on, like, talk about almost like he had an internet connection. He almost flashed onto the scene there. He closed up on these guys so fast. Hoyer can look ahead and he's got to salivate a little bit when he looks at it and says, okay, Sluman, I can get him. Boitlar should be able to get him.
He's saying podium's within reach now.
Yeah.
He gets Sluman. Oh, he gets awful close in the fountain section, though. This is not a cruise for Hoyer. He's pushing it.
Go right above his head. Unfortunately, his partner, Glenn Key, is not going to have a good result. He's out of the race.
Ali Hay had some problems. He's in the pits. He had to take a tow. We don't need to go to this, but this was in turn 6. He unfortunately just understeered himself out to the tires.
Yeah, kind of pancaked the left side in, so... Boy, he was having a good run. He was an 8th. The same thing happened to him in the feature race.
Gotta make it to the finish at a track like this. We're still... Oh, and Herman and Sluman. Now, Herman just got by Sluman,
Yeah.
I think. He's on his way through. He's effectively tailing Hoyer.
Hoyer has about a second to get up to Boutelaar. That's part of the buffet that Hoyer saw in front of me. He had his appetizer, now looking at the main course.
I was going to say, he's going to have to hunt for his meal a little bit here because Boudelaar's not going to be as easy as Herman was. You can see he basically just got up to, or excuse me, Sluman was. He just got up to the back of Sluman, and Hoyer, or Boudelaar is taking a little bit for him to really get on his gearbox.
Daniel Morris just put it in the wall. He was in 12th, and he's going to put it in the pit lane. He was on the lead lap.
10
Hay is gone.
10 cars remain.
It's like an Agatha Christie mystery novel.
Well, who's going to win it then, Poirot?
Yeah. Well, I think Phil Reed's in pretty good shape right now as we're riding on board with Boudelaar, looking back at Manuel Hoyer, who's coming up on him.
Wow, credit to this 07. Like you said, you would think that Hoyer would have a slightly easier time, but
right.
Now he's finally got him because there was a mistake in a turn 3 by David. Goes defensive down into 5.
Yeah,
this is allowing Herman to get in the mix.
I think I owe David an apology. Boutoir are doing a really good job of holding off. This guy run the feature race. He's quick. Now I think here comes the move.
And Boutoir's not going to cover him off. He's just going to let him have the inside. He's got to be careful here because if he loses... Oh, they're going to stay side by side. He does fight him.
There's no letting him. He tried to get a run on the outside. He's going to lose a lot of momentum. That's good news for Stefan Herman now. David, nice job, though.
Yeah, hats off to him.
That's what we like to see. We like to see these guys who get regrid. We like to see them work hard, race clean, but fight. And then he's okay.
Very few drivers have had a clean race on this sprint one, Bill, unfortunately.
Sluman, our pole sitter,
he lifts. Boutoir lifts and lets Herman by. I did not expect that. I thought... Did he glance the wall out of the
Boy, I thought so. My angle, I'm pretty sure he did, yeah. I think he got it out of...
It looked close from my end, too. I just wasn't sure if I should call it out or not.
Yeah. It sounded like I heard it at the same time that he got close. But nevertheless, he continues to be in 5th.
Well, the only battle that leaves us with now is between Herman and Hoyer. And that is for what is currently the podium. They're 9 seconds back from Sorokin, Bill. 11 minutes left on the clock. I don't know. Even though they're faster than Alexei, I don't think they're that much faster.
I think there are 10 cars out there. I think 9th and 10th, there's Edrema Hirasoa and then Dove.
Yep, 10 cars.
Yeah, that's it. Sadler is still racing.
He is. He's at his pit stop, and he's still in 8th.
He's got a chance to probably try to catch the Rolling Thunder, Evan Emre. Sarah Dove has had did she have another issue? I believe so. Yeah.
Since
we
don't
need to go there.
I was going to say we don't have a battle immediately. You talked about novels earlier, Bill. Let's go through the novel of DNFs that we have here. Kessler, Lindstrom, Newton, Osterkamp, Thompson, Coppola, Blackwood. Oh, and who just made the overtake there?
That's Alex Sadler. He got up. He made that stop, had a nice clean car, got around Evan Emre. So
climbing forward.
Sadler up into 7th.
So yeah, Blackwood out, Key is out, Turner's no longer with us, Summers is gone. Oh boy, bad day for Summers. Remember, he DNF'd on the other one. Ladd is out, Morris and Hay. 23 starters. Whew.
Then there's this battle. As you're looking there at Sarah Dove, she's still out there in 10th. Is that the leader behind her there we see on screen? Let me see who that is behind her.
Yes, that is Phil Reed Gaming.
Yeah, that's Phil Reed. Reed's got 5 seconds over Sorokin. The real battle, and I'm going to use that term loosely, is Hoyer and Herman. I think it's real here. Herman doing a pretty good job of staying with Manuel Hoyer.
Well, a mistake would definitely put him within the clutches of Stefan. So I'm with you. I do think it's a battle. It's just right now it's more of a tactical battle. It's both drivers daring how hard they push.
Well, I think you're right. I think Herman is close enough that it makes Hoyer
nervous.
Still drive the car. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't lift here, and he probably, I mean, if he paid attention to how the last race went, if he took a glance back, he probably should be aware, at least, that Herman's got good pace.
We don't need to go there. There is 8 minutes left. Marvin Sluman in 6th has about a 7.5 second lead on Sadler. Maybe. Well, it's not really a battle, but it's a battle if you watch the numbers. Cause
he's reeling him in. He's got his fishing pole out.
Coming. Yeah.
And honestly, we've seen, Bill, that every point's going to matter here today. Well, you talk about an underdog. Sluman, even running the Arrows orange colors back from the early 2000s there.
Glenn Key is 8 laps down and out of the race in 16th, but he'll score a point.
I think Herman gained a little bit on that last lap on Hoyer. It was 7/10. It's now 6/10.
And it won't be long until they come up on the back of Saradov.
Another 10th gone now.
With just over 7 minutes of racing go, this is a pretty good battle. Well, this is the best battle that we have of the 10 cars that are out there.
I know we've had a few onboards, but if we could get another one here, maybe with Herman, just to give an idea of the bumps around here, Bill, especially off a few of these corners. It's always difficult under braking, but trying to get on the power, that's where I felt like, as here we see from just over Herman's shoulders, you'll get a sense, especially in the fountain section, there's quite a few in there. You got to be so careful finding the power that you don't lose the rear end if the rear of the car gets up and you get a bad bounce. It was especially bad, I found, in turn 13. Let's stay on board until there. I tried so hard to stay flat out, but the car just would not stay straight. I always had to lift, even though it wasn't a matter of finding the outside wall. It was just that the car kept slipping out from under me.
We do several series that have a certain sponsor. I don't want to give free airtime to them. We'll just call them Posterior Kicker. But right now, boy, if you had one of them, that machine would get a workout. I've been given the official alert that I can say butt kicker. And right now, man, you'd be putting that product to work on this track.
Sure would. Who just took the fastest lap there? I just saw a flash of purple, and Sadler setting the fastest lap.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. There were 7 minutes to go. He had about 7 minutes to knock off. Well, now there's 5.5 minutes to go. He's got about 3.5 seconds to get to Sluman. Sluman's in trouble.
He doesn't have a butt kicker under there. He's got a fire. Oh boy, Herman down to 0.4 of a second now. He's been chipping away at Hoyer's lead.
Oh, he is there. They've got around Saradov. Now coming up will be Tommy Iduramahirasoa. He'll be up there. He's in 9th. About 5 seconds ahead of Dove, the last two cars out there. But really, this is the battle. Hoyer and Herman. And then soon it'll be Sluman and Sadler. But it's going to be a while before Alex gets to Marvin.
If I'm Herman, I'm keeping a very close eye on what the lap traffic is doing and how Hoyer is dealing with it, because that's his best opportunity. They're so close on pace that really Stefan needs to kind of hope that maybe Manuel hits Andrea Maharasoa at a bad spot, maybe checks him up, and then go on the attack. He's got not much left there. Do just enough maybe to put the car a little bit in danger, but again, he's got 6-7 seconds back to Boudoir. So really, a little bit of damage won't hurt you as long as you keep the car pointed forward.
Tommy looked at his relative box and saw that he had a big cushion back to Saradov. Lifted big time, let them by without an issue. I'm telling you, as a backmarker, this is the kind of track that it's just a nightmare because you have to put it somewhere.
0.3. Here it is. This is his best run, Bill.
And he's got the good passing lane here. It's going to be a right-hander coming up. Careful, boys. From the outside now. Can he hold it? No.
Ooh, Manuel. That was clear communication to Stefan there that he is not giving him an inch, because he didn't slam him to the outside wall, but he just kind of made him nervous enough that he decided to lift just to preserve the car, because he started edging him out to that outside wall.
With 3:30 to race, he'll have one, maybe two more attacks.
Riding on the nose of Stefan.
Meanwhile, I can report that Sluman now has about a half second. In fact, I'm pretty sure, maybe can we go to 6 real quick, because I think this is going to happen real fast. This is Sadler. And there you see that one is done and dusted. Now we can go back to the battle for third.
Oh, looks like Sluman's trying to come back at him. We've seen this before, and he's got the inside.
Look at that.
I like Sluman. Sluman's a
I
fighter.
do too. Yeah.
We've seen him do that now at least 2 or 3 times. Oh, and something happened to Herman because it was 3/10. Now it's up to 9/10. Let me check to see. No, there was nothing really significant. I'm going back and watching, Bill. Just through like the back and forth section of
the funnel
4,
section.
5, and 6. Yeah.
Section.
Herman or Hoyer, excuse me. I'm gonna get the name right.
Yeah,
Hoyer just was fast.
We're under 2 minutes to race now. I don't think Stefan's going to have anything for Manuel now.
There's 2 laps to go, though. He could still run him down. We saw him chase him down in a matter of 2 laps.
Two laps to go is confirmed. David Boitelar, sitting in 5th, has a comfortable gap back to Alex Sadler. He's not going to be able to get there. That driver that you see in the coming there, that's Tommy Idrama, so he's a lap down. There you see well in the back that car. In fact, that's Sarah Dove. That's still not Sadler. There's
Yep.
Sarah.
I told you Sarah never went in for that pit stop. She still hasn't gone in, gotten any repairs. You can see it on the car. She's just trundling around. She's happy to take this 10th. I would be too, honestly.
A few feathers short, but she's going to bring it home.
I see what you did there, Bill.
Hey, you remember this guy? This is Phil Reed. He just picked up some huge points last round as he won the single event at the Nürburgring. Well, didn't have that great of a feature race, but he's going to come back and pick up some sprint race points here.
You know, not all is said and done. I know it's 2.5 seconds back to Alexi, but he's been faster than Reed pretty much every lap.
Yeah. Alexi having a great event. I think we'll just stay on these two all the way around. It doesn't look like Herman has anything for Hoyer. Phil Reed hasn't got a lot of screen time because he's been out in front once he got there. Had a great start. Got to the lead. A little bit worried about his connection here. If he can just hang in there for another half a lap.
Yeah, that's been pretty consistent, if I'm honest. Every once in a while, I'd look up at his name in our timing and scoring, and I'd see it blinking it out. But it's brief, so I think it's manageable. Just not the greatest connection.
It will be fun as we total these up for next round to see who the winner of the day is. Best of day honors. Could go several directions. But right now, working through the Fowden section here. iRacing, I just noticed, did a great job with that Fowden. Really looks good.
A mistake from Hoyer gives it to Herman, but let's stay with the leader.
Coming across. Round number 8, the sprint race goes to Phil Reed. Let's jump back to 3rd and see what's going on there.
It happened just exiting the Fountain section. We might be able to get a replay of it, but you can see the results. Herman takes the podium over Hoyer.
Positive SimRacing Green has to sacrifice a few points there.
I think it was down to the bumps that I was talking about on the exit, Bill. There's some really big ones coming out of that right-hander, turn 11, that you got to be careful with, and that's exactly where Hoyer's rear end just started to try to swap ends, and it was so fast. Herman was on it. He saw it happen, didn't lift or anything, plowed by him, and took the spot.
And Imre comes across the last car on track. So, with that done, the racing is over here at Detroit's Belle Isle, but our broadcast is far from done. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate.
Welcome back to Detroit's Belle Isle Circuit. This sprint race was a shocker for sure. Go back and watch both of them if you can, because some significant developments in the championship. In the end, Phil Reed took the sprint race win, and Alexei Sorokin, I said something during the race, he took some lemons he was given, made some lemonade, finished with a second place after a sixth in the main race. Stefan Herman, last lap pass to get on the podium over our feature race winner, Manuel Hoyer, who gets himself a fourth. We're kind of expecting he will take the best of day points on today. David Boudelaar with a nice run, starting in sixth and finishing in fifth. And how about Alex Sadler? Had a pit stop in there, started in ninth, and still got a sixth place, slicing his way back through the field. Marvin Sluman was our pole sitter. I think he'll be happy with a seventh place. That is not bad at all. Evan Emre gets eighth, and Sarah Dove was the last car running as the checkered flag fell, getting ninth. Thomas Andriama Harasoa finishes in 10th. Then we cut to a bunch of cars that ran into trouble. Many of these had an issue coming out of Corvette corner, turn 2, when Andriama Harasoa started a chain reaction. Ali Hay in 11th, Daniel Morris 12th, Josh Ladd 13th, Kevin Turner in 14th, Charlie Summers in 15th. Then Glenn Key, not a good follow-up after a second place, finishes in 16th. Patrick Kessler in 17th, Erkel Lindstrom 18th, Scott Newton 19th, and Sam Blackwood 20th. Now, former championship leader Renee Osterkamp, no points in both races. 21st today. Josh Thompson behind him in 22nd, and Matteo Coppola reconfirms his dislike for this course, getting a 23rd. With that, we've got some interviews to go through. I believe fifth place finisher David Boudelaar waiting to talk to us. So let's pull David in and talk about the race. David, you still finished one up. Are you happy with that result here in the sprint?
I'm very happy.
That's fantastic. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to say I was in a good spot, I think, and during the feature race, I had a good spot, so I finished eighth, in ninth. So VRT has done a good result.
We saw the pass that Manuel Hoyer made on you for him to get passed into the fountain section. We expected that since you didn't go defensive, you would simply let him through, but then you held the outside, what we considered to be a very brave defense. Did you mean to do that, or was that just accidental?
And no, I wanted to let also Stefan Herman getting in the battle. So I thought maybe I was defensive, but I just wanted to.
Well, it certainly put on a show towards the end for us and impressed us quite a bit. Again, congratulations on getting a top 5 here in the sprint, and we hope to see you at the next round at Zandvoort.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening.
Up next, we've got 8th place finisher Evan Emre ready to talk to us. Let's pull him into the booth. And Evan, you started in 3rd, you slipped down a little bit, you came home in 8th, but considering how many cars DNF today, does that still bring you satisfaction?
Well, I'm very I'm very satisfied because I was 3 seconds off the pace, basically. Hadn't done much practice. The practice I did do, I'm too scared going through every single corner because it's so bumpy. And in the first race, I think I finished 10th because so many cars DNF. And then I was lucky that there was only 13 people on the lead lap from the first race, which meant I was starting 3rd. And then, of course, there was that pile-up on lap 2. So I'm lucky that I was at the front and not behind. Otherwise, getting 8th place would have been impossible, but I'm chuffed considering how many points I've taken.
Yeah, well, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time the AOR has come to Detroit. So, your thoughts? Did it go as expected, or is this a better or worse turnout in terms of the clean racing for you?
It's it was kind of expected. If you talk about, for example, I mean the big crash that happened, I mean that's expected in like every Detroit race here in a single seater, because it's so narrow, the track, that if one car makes a mistake, you just got to pile into each other. But I mean the first race was pretty clean, I think, and people were just crashing on their own. So because you can't go side by side through around here, not that much. But it was kind of expected, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we tend to expect to see at any race that we call here. Now, right before I let you go, one last question: worst corner, best corner here?
The worst corner has got to be the second last corner, where it's a right-hander and it's really bumpy on the inside. And I lost it so many times in practice that I have to basically stop going through there because it's so bumpy, or it'll just spin. So that was the worst corner. And the best corner, we'll say turn 1, just because it's easy. So, turn 1 and 2, you can get as close as the wall to you as you dare on the exit there. But to be honest, I prefer the straights.
Yeah, I can see why. Well, again, a nice haul of points, even though you lost some positions in the sprint race, and hope to see you next week.
Yeah, cheers, Joe.
Was Evan Emre, 8th place finisher here today. One last interview. We've got Sarah Dove, Little Bird, here to talk to us. Last car running, I believe, in this race, coming home in 9th. You DNF'd in the first one, Sarah. It looked like you were going to find the checkers on this one come hell or high water.
Yeah, I was pretty determined. Yeah, I mean, I had a load of damage and just no grip or anything, but I was finishing no matter what. But these past few races is just, this has made me fed up with this car.
So we were talking a little bit about your strengths and weaknesses. We think that you've gained quite a bit of pace in recent races, but your Achilles heel seems to be being able to finish the races. Some errors are costing you some higher positions. Do you agree with that assessment? And how do you feel you can maybe try and work on that?
Yeah, I mean, my pace is pretty good. It's just I make too many mistakes. And I don't think I've ever had a race where I didn't make a mistake. So it's just something I need to try and fix, I think. But it's, I think, I don't know how I can fix it with this car, because it's just annoying me so much with how unpredictable it is.
Yeah, it is a bit of a dancy car for sure, especially over these bumps. One last one before we let you go. Just because we enjoy your paint scheme so much. Favorite Ghibli movie?
Probably Nausicaa.
Ooh, that's mine too. I like your taste. All right. That's Sarah Dove, who managed to get a 9th today, joining us, and hopefully we'll see her as well next week. And we're going to close things up. Big thank you to Bill. He had to step away here for the end, had other obligations he had to take care of. But also a big thank you to everyone at Apex Online Racing for organizing the Renault 2.0 League, and to all the members who supported the broadcast and come out and race each week. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that we use for our broadcast. You can see those on the screen now. And as well, big thank you to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our music. AOR returns in 1 week. That'll be Friday, August 10th, at another track that is very difficult to get overtakes on. That'll be Zandvoort. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at /GlobalSimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And of course, a big thank you to the team with Bill helping us out in the lead, Sean behind the scenes, and Dougie, as always, doing our cameras. But of course, stick around. We've got other broadcasts happening on our channel over on the actual GSRC channel as we're here over broadcasting on AOR. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.